Millions of people walk through public doors every day. You know how important it is to install strong, durable hardware to keep those entrances and exits fully operational. You also know that safety and accessibility for all persons is not only required by law, it's the right thing to do. LCN products provide the solutions you need to meet all these demands. In this video, we'll give you specific step-by-step instructions for installing the LCN Electric AutoEqualizer automatic operator. The Electric AutoEqualizer provides full ADA accessibility with the reliable performance needed for high-traffic uses. The LCN Electric AutoEqualizer automatic operator comes in two different models. Model number 4630 should be used for pull-side mountings. Model number 4640 should be used for push-side mountings. We will focus these instructions on a single-door surface mount installation on the push side of a door using model number 4640.
For a pull-side mount, you will install the operator on the top jamb. A pull-side installation requires a minimum door width of 36 inches with 2-inch minimum head frame and a 1 1/8 inch minimum top rail on the door.
If you need any assistance with your installation, please consult your instruction manual or call customer service toll-free. We'll start the installation with a site assessment. Prior to ordering your Electric AutoEqualizer automatic operator, and again just before installation, you need to review the location. First, check your power supply. This automatic operator can accommodate both surface and concealed wiring applications. It requires 120-volt AC power and has a maximum current load of 1.5 amps. There should be approximately 12 inches of wire available to connect the operator. For surface wiring, like this demonstration, make sure your electrician has the proper template from the printed instructions, so the conduit location is positioned correctly. Both high and low voltage conduit lines should be run to the door frame. A circuit breaker and resettable fuses protect high voltage inputs and low voltage output circuits. During installation, the electrical power should be disconnected and a certified electrician should be available to make all high voltage connections. If your door is hung on pivots or wide throw hinges, please contact the LCN customer support line for installation details. Check the door frame to verify a minimum frame width of 1 3/4 inches. Also verify that the top rail of the door has a minimum 1 3/4 inches measured from the top of the door. The maximum reveal depth is 4.5 inches for a regular arm. For reveals of 4.5 inches to 8 inches deep, your spec should indicate a long arm for the installation. Next, check the mounting channel clearances. You need a 4-inch clearance from the bottom edge of the frame. On the side of the door where the swing arm will be installed, you need a minimum 6-inch clearance, measuring from the face of the door frame out to allow enough room to install the unit and replace the cover. Check to verify that no obstacles, like an exit sign, will interfere with the operator. Finally, and most importantly, check for proper reinforcement on the frame that will hold the operator. The door frame must be able to support the weight of the operator. Also, if there is existing door hardware, remove it now. Once you have reviewed the site and verified all the requirements, you are ready to proceed. In the next section, you'll identify the parts and tools needed for your installation. Before beginning your installation, check to make sure you have everything you need. As with any work involving electricity and power tools, make sure you have safety glasses and follow recommended safety practices. Here is a checklist of the tools and parts you need to supply. A measuring tape, a pencil, a T-square, masking tape, a small flathead screwdriver, a power drill with multiple size drill bits, an adjustable wrench, 3 32nd inch and 5 32nd inch Allen wrenches, a tap kit for 1/4 by 20 machine screws, a center punch, wire strippers, and a sturdy ladder.
For non-reinforced frame installations, you should use a rivet nut tool to install the mounting plate. You can find this tool at specialty hardware locations.
Next, check to make sure you've received the correct product components for your installation. You should receive one master carton containing labels and 3 smaller boxes marked 1, 3, and 4 when installing a single door. Note that there is no box number 2. In box 1, you'll find the covered mounting plate. Remove the cover to locate the installation instructions. In the box marked 3, you will find the closer assembly, the arm components, and the screw pack. In the box marked 4, you'll find the control box and wiring harness. Once you've identified your tools and product parts, you're ready to begin the installation. We'll start with the mounting plate. When preparing to install the mounting plate, first measure and mark the location of the 7 mounting holes on the frame.
To prevent scratching or marking the door frame, apply a strip of masking tape to the frame and mark your measurements on the tape.
4 of these mounting holes will be drilled and tapped on a line 1/2 inch above and parallel to the bottom of the door frame. Measuring from the hinge edge of the door, the first hole should be marked at 3 7/16 inches, the second at 9 7/16 inches, the third at 17 7/16 inches, and the final one at 34 7/16 inches. The last 3 mounting holes run along a parallel line 1 1/4 inch above the bottom of the door frame. Each one will be 1 inch further from the hinge edge of the door than the first 3 holes on the 1/2 inch line. So the first hole should be marked at 4 7/16 inches, the second at 10 7/16 inches, and the final one at 18 7/16 inches.
An easy way to mark the distance between the holes is to use a 1-inch wide T-square. Simply hold it flat against the wall and perpendicular to the door frame, with the marked holes on the 1/2 inch line on one side. Then just mark the hole on the opposite side 3/4 of an inch above the original holes.
Once the mounting holes have been measured and marked, center punch all the marks. Then remove the tape. Next, drill with a 13/64 or number 7 drill bit and tap with a 1/4 by 20 tap. Place the mounting channel into position on the frame and make sure it's flush. Then insert the fasteners and tighten them securely in the pre-drilled holes.
For easy access, first remove the end cap, then connect the conduit to the mounting plate.
Next, thread the wires through the conduit body and attach the 1/2 inch conduit to the mounting channel if necessary for your site. With the electric AutoEqualizer, the facility has an option for the unit's on-off switch. The standard operator comes equipped with the on-off switch located on the end of the mounting plate channel. As an option, you can also get a concealed on-off switch. This switch is located inside the mounting plate and can only be accessed by removing the cover plate. When you choose a concealed on-off switch, you can also select to install an on-off hold-open switch. This switch requires a key for activation and can be located either on the mounting plate or on the door jamb. Next, you'll install the closer assembly. As you prepare to install the closer assembly, you must first adjust the size to fit your specific door. There are adjustments to be made according to the size and placement of your door.
The closer assembly for the electric AutoEqualizer comes factory set for a 36-inch interior door. If this matches your installation, you should not need to make any adjustments.
Refer to the chart located in your printed instructions to determine how you should adjust the closer assembly. Turning the spring adjustment in a clockwise motion increases the spring power, while turning it in a counterclockwise direction decreases the spring power. Next, align the closer assembly to the mounting channel. The closer and clutch gear couplers should mesh loosely, and the closer's mounting holes should align with the standoffs on the mounting plate. It is highly critical that you precisely align the closer assembly with the motor clutch assembly. If they're not in proper alignment, the The parts will move and experience wear and tear that will degrade the operator's performance or cause it to stop functioning entirely. Once the closer is put in place, secure it with the provided machine screws. In the next segment, you will install the arm and test the door's operation. Remove the arm assembly components from the shipping carton. Locate the screw pack. This next step is critical to the performance of the automatic operator. Remove the shaft extension and the lock washer in the fastener box. Insert the lock washer into the shaft extension so that it sits between the closer shaft and the shaft extension. Now, fit the arm onto the shaft extension with the lock washer inside. Next, fit the arm assembly over the closer shaft so that the main arm is positioned at approximately 90 degrees to the operator assembly. Then secure it with the arm shaft screw. Locate the rod and shoe assembly. Mark the shoe mounting holes as shown on the template in the instructions. The hinge side hole is located 12 3/4 inches from the hinge edge of the door and 1 9/16 inches from the top of the door. The second shoe mount hole is 1 5/16 inches from the first hole toward the lock side of the door. Once the mounting holes have been measured and marked, center punch and drill with a 13/64 or number 7 drill bit. Then tap each hole with a 1/4 by 20 tap. Insert the rod and shoe assembly into the arm shaft. Then, using the screws provided, attach the rod and shoe assembly to the door.
The longer end of the shoe should point to the hinge edge of the door. If you turn the longer shoe edge away from the hinge, it will adjust your closing power.
Now locate the arm screw, put it into position, and use your fingers to tighten it. Next, preload the forearm to a 90-degree position and hold it in place as you use a wrench to securely tighten the arm set screw. The electric AutoEqualizer comes factory set for hydraulic regulation. Once you've installed the arm, check the operation to determine if adjustments need to be made. First, open the door to at least 90 degrees and observe its closing. Check the spring power and the closing speed. You want to make it function as a manual door. If adjustments are needed, use a 3/32" Allen wrench provided. To slow the door speed, turn the main speed and latch speed screws in a clockwise direction. If you want to increase speed, turn these screws counterclockwise. For back check adjustments, turn the screws clockwise by 1/4 turns.
Speed adjustments must be made at this point in the installation. Once you put the control box in place, the main and latch speed regulating screws will not be accessible.
In the next section, we'll install and adjust the control box. Locate the control box assembly in the shipping carton. Turn the box so the connector end is positioned toward the installed motor assembly. Slide the control box onto the mounting plate by guiding the cutouts onto the mounting pins. Once the front of the control box is fitted onto the pins, push the entire unit into position. After it's properly fitted into place, insert the unpainted number 8 32 by 3/8 inch screw into the bottom of the mounting plate next to the closer shaft. Now, it's time to wire the control box. Attached to the control box, you'll find 2 color-keyed wire harnesses. The first is a ribbon cable connector. Attach the loose end of the ribbon cable to the rear board assembly, sometimes referred to as the I/O board. The second connector is a 2-wire lead for the 120-volt AC power. One end of this harness fits into the 2-pin plug on the high voltage board of the rear board assembly. The opposite end is connected to the 2-pin connector on the control box. Finally, plug the 4-pin connector on the motor clutch to the 4-pin connector on the control box. Electrical power can now be safely supplied to the automatic operator. During this step, you'll need to have a certified electrician available for connecting the high voltage. To properly connect the power wires, attach the green ground wire to the matching green cable wire on the high voltage board. Then, secure the black wire to the L position. Finally, secure the white wire to the N position. In the next section, we'll discuss connecting the accessories and testing door operation. One of the most common accessories with the electronic auto equalizer is the actuator button for handicap accessibility. For this installation, we'll be placing the operator on the exterior door of a double-door vestibule entrance. This entrance is secured with a Von Duprin EL device. Entry to the building is unlocked in one of two ways. First, employees are issued encoded ID cards. A proximity card reader scans the card to permit access. Then the person can enter manually or press the actuator button to automatically open the door. For those without a Prox card, an intercom system may be used. When a visitor requests access through the intercom system, the internal release button unlocks the door and activates the actuator simultaneously. The visitor can then enter manually or press the actuator button to open the door. For safety purposes, the actuator in the vestibule remains live at all times to ensure that people can always exit the building in case of emergency. For this installation, we will be using a remote wireless actuator switch. When installing this interior transmitter, place the 3 transmitter mounting posts in position inside the mounted base box. Then insert the battery clip on the slot. Locate the circuit boards and set the 8 programming switches on both the transmitters and the receiver. In a 2-channel installation like this, switches 3 through 8 should match on both the transmitters and the receiver. See the instruction booklet for more programming details. For this installation, the exterior actuator will activate channel 1. The interior actuator will activate channel 2. To set channel 1, turn both the 1 and 2 dip switches to the off position. To set channel 2, turn dip switch 1 to the on position and dip switch 2 to the off position. Now, snap the circuit board between the 3 posts with the wires positioned toward the battery clip. Next, attach a new 9-volt alkaline battery to the snap and place it in the housing. Continue by securing the weather plate in place with the 2 screws provided. Make sure the transmitter switch wires are threaded through the weather plate opening. Next, attach the transmitter switch wire lugs to the COM and NO positions of the switch. Finally, place the actuator switch plate over the screws and tighten in place using the Allen wrench provided. Next, we will install the receiver above the mounting plate. Make sure you program the receiver before installation. On a 2-channel receiver, the dip switches 1 and 2 are non-functioning. Switches 3 through 8 should match the transmitter settings.
Anytime you use a wireless receiver, make sure there is no obstacle to prevent signal reception. For example, you should avoid placing the receiver behind a solid concrete wall.
The receiver has color-coded wires. Make sure the operator's power is turned off. Connect the gold wire to terminal number 5 and the silver wire to terminal number 4. For channel 1, connect the brown and red wires. For channel 2, connect the yellow and green wires. See the written instructions to identify the appropriate terminal connections for your specific site needs. Finally, turn the operator on and test the operation of the actuators. Make sure the door opens freely to the 90-degree position. In the next section, we'll discuss the actions set on the control box so you can customize the setup of your location. The electric auto equalizer automatic operator comes pre-programmed with default settings for door operations. You have the ability to customize these settings on the control box.
Control box functions are all preset before shipping. There is no need to change these settings unless you are installing accessories. You can verify the factory preset positions by reviewing the listing on the control box label.
If you do need to change the settings, locate the display window on the control box. To the right of the window will be the up and down buttons that enable you to change the setting displayed. In normal operating mode, the power light and the safety clear light will be on, and the display will be blank. To initiate programming, press the Mode button. If you press the Mode button again, you will change which setting is active in the display window. It is critical to note here that the numeric values displayed do not represent seconds. The number 1 equals about 1/3 of a second. Therefore, a numeric display of 3 equals 1 second, a display of 6 equals 2 seconds, a display of 9 equals 3 seconds, and so on. The first mode you can adjust is Hold Open Time. This is the length of time the door remains open after reaching the 90-degree position. To change this setting, press the up or down button. Setting options run from 0 to 999, and the default setting is 16, or approximately 5 seconds. Next is the 90-degree slowdown time. This is the time that elapses from when the door first starts to move until it reaches approximately 70 degrees. The speed slows down after the 70-degree point. Setting options range from 0 to 26, and the default setting is 9. The one-shot input mode is an on or off option. If switched off, the hold open delay starts at the last activation input signal. If switched on, the hold open delay starts at the first activation input signal and ignores other activation inputs. The default is off. Exterior mode is another on-off option. If switched off, the door stops and the hold open time starts as soon as it encounters a restriction, such as heavy wind. In the on position, the door will pause for 1 second at the first restriction, then try to open again. The default is on. The ES delay controls the time between the activation signal and the actual door movement. This allows time for electric latching hardware to release the door before it starts to open. Setting options range from 0 to 16, and the default setting is 0. The ES 3-second power is an on or off option. If off, the ES relay is powered the entire opening cycle and hold open time when the door is open at 90 degrees. It releases when the door starts to close. If this option is switched on, the ES relay is powered for only 3 seconds after the door is activated, then it releases. The default is on. The sequential delay controls the time from the first door activation during sequential door openings. Setting options range from 0 to 100, and the default is 0. The alternate action time controls the time the door will remain open after an alternate action input is received. An automatic second input to close the door kicks in if a second alternative action input is not received within the preset time. You can set this to 0, 1, 2, or 3. The default is 0, which means the door remains in indefinite hold open position until it receives a second input. 1 equals a 10-minute hold open time, 2 equals a 20-minute hold open time, and 3 equals a 30-minute hold open time. During any of these hold open times, if the operator receives a second input, the door will close. The lockout time controls the time that a safety scanner input is ignored during door closing. These settings adjust from 0 to 66, and the default is set at 20. The control box will automatically exit programming mode after 15 seconds with no input from the mode, up, or down buttons. The box also exits programming mode automatically when you've stepped through all programming options.
You can reset the control box back to factory defaults by turning the power off, holding the mode button, and turning it back on using the switch on the operator end cap.
In the next section, we'll wrap up the installation. Just a few more steps, and your installation is complete. Locate the cover for the automatic operator. Depending on the options for your installation, remove the proper knockouts.
If your installation features a concealed conduit, do not remove the conduit knockouts.
Align the cover with the operator and guide it into position. Using the 2 painted number 8 32 by 3/8-inch flathead machine screws, secure the cover in place. Finally, locate the 2 caution automatic door decals in the kit. place 1 or 2 decals on the door near the latch area. By code requirements, the decal must be located at 58 inches, plus or minus 5 inches, from the floor to the center line of the sign, and must be visible from both sides of the door without interference.
To prevent air bubbles from getting trapped under the decal, remove only a portion of the backing and roll the decal onto the door as you peel off the backing.
Now, your installation of the LCN Electric Auto Equalizer Automatic Operator has been successfully completed. In the next section, we'll provide some troubleshooting tips and techniques to help make your installation smooth and easy. If you have trouble with a door not working properly, consider some of these common causes and solutions. In some cases, an error code will appear on the control box display. Anytime you see an error code, the door will only operate manually. The automatic operator will not work. If you see EO2 on the display, check the power supply connectors to make sure the 1 through 12 and 13 through 24 connectors are not reversed. If you're using an electric strike, you should also check the diode for proper installation. An EO2 message can be an indication the diode is inserted backwards. See the instruction manual for proper diode orientation. If you see an EO3 message on the display, first check to make sure the motor clutch 4-pin connector cable is plugged in properly. If you rule out the connector, check the resistance of the motor and the clutch. You should have a reading between 20 and 70 ohms for the motor and a reading of approximately 1200 ohms for the clutch. If you get correct readings but still have an EO3 message, or if the readings you get are not in the recommended range, contact LCN on our toll-free phone line. The control box or clutch may need to be replaced. When an EO4 message appears, this indicates the operator is in continuous activation when the unit is turned on or when you exit programming mode. Check the green LED indicators on the control box. If the Hold Open Alt Action LED is lit, check the Hold Open switch on the end cap. Make sure this switch is in the off position. Another possible cause of the EO4 message is an error with the actuator switch. If you see the normal SEQ LED lit, check the actuator switch to see if it is miswired or stuck. If the door only opens to 70 degrees when the actuator button is pushed, the arm may not be installed properly. You can test this quickly by holding the door open at 90 degrees. Then turn the hold open switch, and when the motor clutch stops turning, release the door. If the door falls back to 70 degrees, the arm is not properly installed on the closer cylinder. To fix the problem, take the arm off the spindle and reattach it in the correct position. Consult your instruction manual in the section entitled Arm Assembly Installation for more details. If your door opens only to 80 or 85 degrees, double-check the reveal measurement. Correctly measuring the reveal on your door is a critical step during the site assessment. To get a proper measurement, place your tape on the face of the door and measure out to the back of the mounting plate or the face of the frame. If the arm slides up and down the shaft, it can displace the arm screw. You should check the proper arm attachment by looking at the shaft extender and lock washer assembly. Make sure to place the lock washer inside the shaft extender. Tighten it securely. If the strike or mag lock does not release when the door is activated, the diode may be in backwards or may be defective. Check your diode installation or contact LCN on our toll-free phone line. If the door remains open and will not close, the capacitor may not have been installed. Check to verify if a capacitor is in place. If it's missing, install one or contact LCN on our toll-free phone line. If the on-off switch shorts out when you power up the operator, the AC power cable and the connector on the hold-open switch may be reversed. Move them into their proper connections and install a new on-off switch to fix the problem. When using motion sensors for activation on a pull side mounting, sometimes the door may re-trigger itself when it swings closed. To prevent this, check the location of your motion sensor and move it outside the swing path of the door. For any problems you experience with your installation, please contact LCN on our toll-free phone line. You can receive additional help with your installation in several ways. Contact your local security and safety consultant for on-site assistance. Or contact LCN on our toll-free phone line. Or visit our website, Meeting all standards for ADA accessibility, the LCN Electric Auto Equalizer Automatic Operator offers you the right solution for high-traffic locations. Once properly installed, this automatic operator delivers the highest levels of performance, reliability, and design options.